Good day. Today, our group will be presenting on change management in digital transformation using Flow as our case study. In today's dynamic business environment, organizations must adapt to technological and market changes to remain competitive. However, managing change effectively requires more than just implementing new systems. It involves people, leadership, and organizational processes. This presentation will examine key concepts across 5 units, including change management theories, stages of change, leadership, resistance, and the role of culture, communication, and assessment in ensuring successful transformation.
Good day, everyone. My name is Yannick Griffiths, and I will be discussing change management in relation to Flow telecommunications. Change management at Flow refers to the structured approach used to plan, implement, and sustain transitions across the organization's people, processes, and technology. In a fast evolving telecommunications industry, change management is not optional, it is a strategic necessity. It helps minimize disruption while maximizing employee adoption and long term effectiveness. At Flow, this includes communicating a clear vision for digital transformation, supporting employees during restructuring, aligning culture with regulatory requirements, and addressing resistance constructively. There are both internal and external forces driving change at Flow. Internally, the company is driven by the need for greater operational efficiency. This may involve restructuring departments, eliminating redundancies, and adopting more agile processes. Leadership transition also influence change as new executives often bring different priorities, strategies, and cultural expectations. Externally, Flow must respond to regulatory and policy changes across the Caribbean. Additionally, technological disruption from over the top competitors such as WhatsApp, Netflix, and Zoom has reshaped the telecommunications landscape. Customer expectations have also increased with demand for faster connectivity, digital self service options, and transparent billing. To effectively manage these changes, Flow can apply John Cotter's 8 step change model. This model emphasizes creating urgency, building a guiding coalition, forming a clear vision, generating short term wins, and embedding change into the organizational culture. By following this structured framework, Flow can successfully navigate digital transformation and remain competitive in a dynamic industry.
My name is Andrew Riley. I'll be presenting on Unit 2. The Flow Communication Company has established the need for digital transformation, and so we recommend to them the 4 stage change model as a suitable model to ensure the success of a critical venture such as this one. The 4 stage model has the diagnostic stage, the planning stage, the implementation stage, and the assessment stage. And so the diagnostic stage is where the Flow Communication Company, as the organization, would be evaluated top to bottom from the management structure, the goals and missions of the company, the current policies that they operate on, their system of operation, and their capacity to treat with this transformation and how it would benefit them. Followed by the following the diagnostic stage is the planning stage. Using the information gained at the diagnostic stage, the research done and the evaluation carried out, the planning stage is where all that information is put into coordinated efforts where the company is setting where the direction they want to go. They would implement measurements to determine that they would have achieved this objective. And so they would also be looking at their capacity to manage it, their how would they measure that they have successfully achieved this, and how would it benefit them in the market and industry that they operate in. Now, the planning stage is where this involves all levels of management, every stakeholder, to an extent, even the customers and the feedback from them would be useful as well. Management would be the strategic decision makers, but input would be given from the lower level employees as well. And so we move then to the implementation stage, where now all that has been researched and planned is now put into action. So the digital transformation would take place, all the necessary changes to the company's equipment, their output, their image, probably even their branding and their logo would be done. All deliverables established in the previous stages would now be set in place, and the roles and functions associated will be done. And so now the fourth stage is the assessment stage, where all the deliverables set in place and completed and would have been finished. This is where they are now assessed post impact to determine that the objective would have been achieved and all the measurements would have been met. The auditing would have taken place, and at this stage, they would be able to evaluate the success of their transformation process. Thank you.
Hi, I am Marlene Mead Williams, and I'll be discussing the role of leadership and followers in managing change at Flow, specifically in relation to digital transformation. Organizational change involves significant adjustments to technology processes, structure, or culture. For Flow, digital transformation means upgrading systems, redesigning workflows, and sometimes redefining employee roles. However, digital transformation does not occur in isolation. It often requires restructuring policy adjustments and cultural shifts towards greater innovation and adaptability. Because of this, leadership plays a critical role. The success or failure of change depends largely on how leaders guide employees through the process. When leading change, flexibility is essential. Although Goldman identified 6 leadership styles, 3 are especially important here. First, visionary leadership provides direction and explains why the change is necessary, which reduces uncertainty. Second, democratic leadership involves employees in decision making, increasing commitment and morale. Third, coaching leadership supports skill development, helping employees feel confident using new systems. However, overusing commanding and pay-second styles may create pressure and damage trust during already stressful transitions. Leadership style alone is not enough. Trust is essential. During digital transformation, employees may worry about job security, restructuring, or new expectations. Clear and consistent communication helps reduce these fears. Middle managers also play a key role. They act as the bridge between senior leaders and frontline staff by explaining strategies, facilitating training, and communicating feedback. If they are excluded, communication breaks down and resistance may occur. Employees respond to change differently. Some may feel excited, while others may experience fear, uncertainty, or a loss of identity. Digital transformation may also require cultural shifts towards innovation and technological adaptability, which can be uncomfortable. Supportive leadership makes the difference. When leaders communicate clearly, provide support, and encourage feedback, resistance decreases and commitment increases. Therefore, the success of digital transformation at Flow depends not just on technology, but on leadership credibility, middle management involvement, and employee trust.
Hi everyone, my name is Gaylan Campbell. Today I will be presenting Unit 4, which focuses on the role of followers in organizational change. Our chosen organization is Flow. Flow is a telecommunication company in the Caribbean which has recently upgraded its internal system. Although this upgrade was necessary to improve efficiency and service delivery, many employees, particularly older workers, felt uncomfortable with this change. According to Edgar Shin, resistance to change often stems from 2 types of anxiety: survival anxiety and learning anxiety. At Flow, some workers may have experienced survival anxiety, worrying about job security, while others may have experienced learning anxiety, fearing they might not be able to adapt to the new digital system. The possible forms of resistance could include open complaints, negative attitudes, avoidance of training sessions, reduced productivity, or even passive resistance, where employees appear to accept the change but internally reject it. This is where the role of the change agent becomes critical. According to William Judge, change agents or change champions are individuals who help drive change even without formal authority. At Flow, a trusted and experienced employee could act as a change agent while reassuring colleagues, assisting with training, addressing concern, and modeling a positive attitude towards the new system. To reduce resistance, Flow can implement several strategies. First, clear and transparent communication about why the upgrade is necessary. Second, hands on training and ongoing technical support to reduce learning anxiety. Third, involving employees in feedback discussions so they feel valued. And finally, recognizing small achievements during the transition to build confidence. Unit 4 shows that successful change is not only about introducing new system. It requires managing emotions, building trust and empowering credible change agents. If Flow focuses on communication, training of employees, involvement, resistance can be transformed into a long-term.
Good day, my name is Tamiki Albert, and this section of the presentation focuses on Unit 5, which examines the role of culture, communication, and assessment in change management. As my colleagues previously highlighted, we are using Flow's digital transformation as our case study. In this section, we will analyze how these factors influence the success or failure of organizational change. Organizational culture refers to the shared beliefs and values that guide employee behavior. According to Edgar Schein in 2010, culture develops as organizations solve internal and external challenges. In Flow's case, a culture that supports innovation and learning will encourage employees to adopt digital systems, while a rigid culture may resist change. The model by Daniel Dennison in 1990 highlights four traits that influence performance. These are adaptability, involvement, consistency, and mission. For Flow, adaptability and involvement are especially important because digital transformation requires employees to actively engage with new systems and processes. Organizational climate reflects how employees perceive their work environment. James and James 1989 describe it as a multidimensional construct. A positive climate at Flow will increase trust and willingness to embrace digital change, while a negative climate may lead to resistance. Communication is an essential component of climate change management because it helps employees understand what is happening and why. Without communication, employees may feel uncertain or threatened, especially during digital transformation where roles may change. Communication serves both informational and relational purposes. It ensures employees understand new systems while also building trust. Effective communication reduces resistance and increases readiness for change. Based on Kurt Lewin's 1951 model, communication must align with each stage of change. Flow must first justify the need for digital transformation, then support employees during implementation, and finally, reinforce new digital practices. Communication challenges can negatively impact change. At Flow, employees may fear automation or reconstruction. If communication is unclear or inconsistent, it can increase resistance and reduce trust in leadership. Assessment, the final stage, ensures that digital transformation is achieving its goal. Flow should measure both employee responses and organizational outcomes to determine whether the change is successful. Using Denison's model allows Flow to evaluate whether the culture supports transformation. If gaps are identified, management must adjust strategies to improve alignment. These elements work together. Culture influences how employees feel about change, communication helps them understand it, and assessment ensures long term success. Weaknesses in any area can affect the entire transformation process. In conclusion, Flow's success depends on aligning culture, communication, and assessment. Technology alone is not enough. Employees must be engaged, informed, and supported throughout the process.
In conclusion, Flow's digital transformation is not simply a technological upgrade, but a comprehensive organizational change involving people, processes, structure, leadership, culture, and communication. As discussed, change management frameworks such as Cutter's 8-step model and the 4-stage model provide a structured pathway for guiding transformation. However, models alone are not enough. The success of digital transformation depends on effective leadership styles, trust building, middle management engagement, and the way followers respond to change. Additionally, organizational culture and communication play a decisive role. A culture that promotes adaptability, empowerment, and innovation supports transformation, while poor communication can increase resistance and uncertainty. Ultimately, sustainable change at Flow requires alignment between strategy, leadership, culture, and employees. When these elements work together, digital transformation becomes not just a reaction to industry pressures, but a strategic opportunity for long term competitiveness and growth.